Tarantino recently went to Rise Up October and talked about police brutality. He was against it. So, of course, a lot of people were outraged. How dare you be against police brutality? That seems like a perfectly reasonable thing to be against. Instead, they smeared him and they said, oh, he called all cops murderers. Except he didn't. He never said all cops. He just said the cops who did the particular shootings, like Tamir Rice, well, that was a murder. And in fact, some of the murders that he talked about, like the one in South Carolina, well, the guy's being tried for murder. So obviously it was a murder, right? So they told him to shut the hell up. Of course, that was on Fox News. They had an analyst come in and say that he told the crowd to be violent. He did no such thing. I saw the whole tape. They're unbelievable liars at Fox News. So Quentin Tarantino had to go on Chris Hayes' show on MSNBC and defend himself. Let's watch.
In the case of Eric Gardner, in the case of Tamir Rice, I believe that those were murders, but they were exonerated.
So that's true. It's certainly not a controversial position that Eric Garner was murdered. He was choked to death, and then he died. Wow, real controversy. All right, more.
They're not dealing with the issues that we were talking about, which you would think they'd want to deal with, at least to some degree or another. No, they want to demonize me. They want to slander me, imply that I'm saying things that I didn't say. And then, and for what reason? The reason is because they want me to shut up. I mean, it's much easier to feign outrage and start arguments with celebrities than it is to deal with the fact that they've the citizenry has lost trust in them.
That's exactly right. The whole point is, whenever there's an issue they don't like, okay, there was a mass shooting, you're not allowed to talk about guns because that'll politicize it. Police brutality. You don't talk about police brutality because that means you're anti-cop and you're encouraging violence against cops. No, we're encouraging cops not to be violent towards the citizens, right? They don't want you to talk about it because they actually don't mind the police brutality. That's what they're trying to cover up. Now, Tarantino is about to make their heads explode, though. Watch this.
Well, the organization who put it on was, it's called Rise Up October. And they got in touch with me because I had made statements in some interviews, along the way that had suggested that I'm on their side when it comes to this issue of, ultimately what I feel is a problem of white supremacy in this country.
Fox News was like, oh my God, red alert, he said white supremacy. But wait a minute, African Americans do suffer being shot by cops, especially when they're unarmed, at disproportionate rates. In fact, when they're unarmed, at 3 times the rate of whites, right? So that is an issue. So are the facts wrong? No, the facts are right. And he's right to point out that it's a real issue in America. How dare you say white supremacy? All these blacks had it coming. Okay. So finally, Tarantino points out that we live in America.
Well, yeah, I was surprised. I was under the impression I was an American and that I had First Amendment rights and there was no problem with me going to an anti-police brutality protest and speaking my mind. And just because I was at an anti-police brutality protest doesn't mean I'm anti-police.
It's logical. I'm glad he came out and spoke out against it again. Okay, listen, bottom line, final judgment on this. First of all, Tarantino, obviously not guilty, right? Fox News, obviously guilty. Tarantino should go unchained and go further. And don't let him intimidate you, and he's not, so I'm glad. Who cares what they say? Their job is to do propaganda. So like, oh, they're outraged by Quentin Tarantino. If Fox News and the right-wing idiots are outraged, that means you've done something right. So don't worry about a thing. Go forward. There's no question that police brutality is real in America, and any decent person would fight against that.